Okay, it is the podcast on a Tuesday.
As
Corey,
always.
let me start the music before your attitude kicks in. Okay, tell us, welcome to...
I want to tell them a story from our history.
Okay, this is wild. Corey walks in this morning and says, do you remember? Yeah, I think about it every day before I go to bed.
On my way here, I was cackling in the car.
You're lucky you have window tint, because people would think you're weird.
Okay, let me set the stage. We are third, fourth grade around. We're at church with these long dresses my grandma made. So think a lot of little frills. It's to the ankle.
You were like second grade. I wouldn't be this.
I don't think I would have remembered second grade. Barely remembered first.
Miss Henderson was our teacher.
Oh, see, I didn't remember.
I was first.
So in the church bathroom, like there's a ton of stalls, just like you'd go in, to any, like a Target, where there's a ton of stalls against the wall. So I always like to go to the last one so no one heard me tinkle. But when
nobody was there that early in the church morning.
True, but just in case, especially when it's silent that early in the morning, you want your privacy.
Yeah, parents did the welcome booth. Really
so I went to the final stall down this row of stalls, but when I went and I almost got to it, I stepped in. What had happened, I guess, overnight was one of the toilets.
Let me paint the picture. Have you guys ever been to a Lorraine cavern? And the untouched water is so pure, it reflects back.
So the water had overflowed in the last toilet and had taken over the majority of the floor space, but the water was so still that it looked like there was no water there. So when I stepped, then it created a ripple effect. And I was like, oh, it overflowed.
You see the thought forming Corey's head. She runs back to me.
So then I don't know.
I'm in church. We're getting ready to recite something. Like, we haven't even started yet, but I'm cleaning my seat.
I don't know why I had this bright idea, but I went back to Heather. I went all the way back, and I said, hey,
let's race.
You want to play something?
Let's race to the last stall in the bathroom. And I was like, absolutely. That's what I would like
See,
to do.
if you weren't so competitive, you would have learned your lesson.
Did you put money? Did you have candy?
I think I said I will give you candy.
It had to be
something.
I am not.
The risk was worth it.
You can't give me a stand up if there's not something riding.
So we take off. I have to obviously be slower than Heather, and I'm not.
You can't run.
So someone said, "Trends, slow down." So Heather slows. So I have to, I'm crawling at this point. As soon as Heather turns into the bathroom, she hits
speed line.
You see me. Sonic the Hedgehog. Of course, now I'm speeding because I want to see what happens when Heather hits the water. I don't know if my mind has recreated
have
this.
Those little church shoes that have completely
I think the black.
They're a death trap right now.
Heather is almost looks like
Water
she's on 2 pair of skis.
Yeah,
she hits the water and hits the wall. It falls over.
I'll let you know the speed didn't dissipate. I just transitioned to a new type of speed.
The water skis. She falls over. Okay, this long dress.
Our grandma made matching dresses.
Is now soaked. Okay, now I'm coming to grips with I didn't think this through.
Now I have all the power and all the water.
Heather's on the border of crying. She can't even have a wrinkled sock, let alone a wet dress.
We all have our vices.
So I'm like, please don't tell mom and dad. I'll switch dresses. Of course, me and Heather have this weird cootie problem. Not that we didn't spend 9 months together bun to bun in the womb.
I didn't want to wear your clothes.
So Heather said no, and I said, I'll give you my candy for the next 4 weeks.
You got a candy if you told him you forgot to put the verse on the chalkboard.
Good memories. Good memories.
Welcome to this podcast, which is not about us at the Greater Church, but it is about a Facebook group called the Sugar Cookie Marketing Group.
You almost forgot about it?
It's called Church. And you're supposed to raise your twin and get a candy. But I think it's now 44,000. I saw it move over.
I got in there. And so I'm going to let some people in. We have 9,000 pending people.
Somebody had messaged the page, and they're like, I've been waiting for years. And I keep deleting and requesting. And
I feel that's the worst thing you could do is delete and re-request.
9,000 people pending. Which
my husband just texted me and said, Ray has diarrhea, and he vomited.
Are you distracted today?
A little.
I can't get you off your phone. I can't get you to tell him about marketing.
Okay. I'm in. You got me for 30 minutes.
So it's the Sugar Cookie Marketing Group on Facebook. And what we're able to see is a lot of marketing questions that evolve from the baking industry.
What's great is you have small bakers, big bakers, new bakers, old bakers, fun bakers.
Something bar, something blue. Yeah.
So you can learn a lot from everyone around the world because, we got worldwide things in there. So if you have like a cottage question, odds are there's someone that's in your same state that we can connect you with. But we also like to see what topics are kind of trending, bring them to the podcast. So while you're decorating, while you're knee deep in royal icing, cursing that cookie that you just dropped your scribe on, you can listen to it.
Yeah, and that brings us to today's topic, and it's about branding. And I know we've covered this before, but never a bad time to do a refresher.
Because people are constantly coming into the industry.
Right. And leaving.
And leaving
their handles taken.
And rebranding.
Right. So when you kind of think, like Corey started this with before I pressed record, so that gem was lost. She said that when you're getting started, it's the best time to brand because you don't have the cost of rebranding. You don't have the angst of rebranding when you have to tell your audience, hey, what you knew is no longer.
Yeah. You're a clean slate. You can do everything right. Or
you can do it wrong. So we just want to say, hey, if you're either thinking of rebranding or you're getting started and you're like, hey, I need to solidify this. I need to become a business. Here's the things to think of so you don't have to rethink them and regret it a year from now.
Yeah, because I went through a rebrand.
You did.
Pain in the booty hole. Pain.
Corey, the only reason why we can speak with expertise on this is because we've learned the hard way. So the first one, and this one's always the quick one, start here because if this is a no, you got to change your name.
Yeah.
And it's the legal aspect of it. So when you think of, sometimes people say copywriting, I think it's different. We're talking about trademarking. It's the name, the words used in it. And I know you can trademark other things, but I can only speak to the verbiage. So we trademarked Sugar Cookie Market. No reason. Just wanted to see
no one
how
was
it was.
It.
It was the biggest pain in my bun hiney. So I said, let me just, because I was going to teach a class on it. No, I can refer you to somebody. I said, let me just do it myself because you can file your own trademarks. Yeah. And this is like the government's like, listen, there's an escape room, and if you escape, you can trademark it, but we will keep your money if you file incorrectly.
Yeah.
Of which it was impossible to know how to file correctly. They do not refund your money. They just reject it.
So and keep your money in there. Better luck next time. Try again.
I was in tears. I didn't cry, but I did find so as soon as it rejected it, all these lawyers are like, hey, you need help?
Yeah, whatever that. You scratch my back, I scratch yours.
So I went through the 50 emails of people being like, LOL, you fell for it. And I hired somebody and then they did it. But it was interesting to see the process. So before you even talk to a lawyer, before you even have to file yourself, you can look up the trademarks that are filed and if they're active.
And what you might be saying to yourself right now is, I'm just starting out. I don't have the cash. Well, we're not saying go and trademark yours right now. We're saying don't choose one that has been trademarked because you set yourself up from getting a letter that said you're violating my trademark.
This is like a wild trademark story that I think about never. First, I think about falling in the bathroom in the water, and then I think about this. But there's this car show, and the guy who ran the car show didn't want to be affiliated with the car show. He ran the restaurant for the car shows. He said, I don't want to be affiliated with it because then I have to get legal involved. Like I have to get insurance, I have to get porta potties or something. Like he's like, this is just like an organic thing. And I said, well, everyone's asking so many questions about it, and they're coming to me thinking that I have anything to do with it. It was like, well, you answer the questions as long as you answer them. I don't have to. So I was like, okay, well, can I set up a website? Because I like a website. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. So
really, funny how you like that website, but I don't have one. Okay, go on. Just making
sure. Ruined me for websites. So for a year, I ran this website, and people were like, "Oh, this has got all the information you'd ever need about this one specific car." So that was pretty popular in the area. And then someone was like, "Can I get a T-shirt or something?" So I was like, all the T-shirt says, "I can't. I'm at Katie's." It was such an early car show. That was the joke, is that it starts at like 4 or 5 a.m.
Yeah,
and I never went. I was sleeping. And one person bought a T-shirt, and it was just paying for my own hosting fees.
Right. And you enjoyed whatever that was.
I was not making any money. So then he saw it, and immediately, his wife was a lawyer, and he was a real type of guy.
Yeah, he was.
He was a real, hide behind your wife's skirt that's wet from the water at the church. And he came to me, and he was like, we filed a trademark on the name. And I was like, okay. Like, at the end of the day, you own the trademark. And he had filed it before, and I didn't want to file a trademark. So I just said, well, I'll never let the domain expire. But I'll take down the website. Well, I was like, you're just a little man, buddy.
Right.
But that goes to show you that the legal aspect wins over, and I know that you can get into, I've been using it. I don't think that, I'm sure we don't have deep enough pockets to fight to prove that you were using it before the trademark was filed. I don't know.
There's this large ladies group in Loudoun County, and it was called Real Housewives of Loudoun County. And for short, what is the acronym? RL, Real RH of LC. That's what it was.
You got it.
Okay, so that's what it's. The group is ginormous. It's the number one group. If you're in Loudoun County, you would join this group if you were a lady of Loudoun. Well, someone went and trademarked her name.
And she had it. She owned the group. So guess who had to rebrand?
She had to rebrand the whole thing.
It really did take away the notoriety.
It did, because then you
confusing.
couldn't find it when you were typing in it. So she had to change it. It was crazy, but she couldn't do anything about it.
So you're saying, should people trademark it? I mean, at the end of the day, you only trademark it so somebody else doesn't, right?
That's
It cost me, if you're wondering, hiring the lawyers. I ended up finding one. They were very nice. And it was $800.
$800. Do you think that's worth it?
No.
No?
But I would, if somebody said, well, I'm sugar cookie marketing, I'm like, really glad I trademarked
I know.
that.
But so keep that in the back of your mind, in your back pocket, in your wallet. Keep the $800. But if someone comes, and I'm on Instagram all the time, the amount of bakers that have similar bakery names is many. Life's a Batch is out there 20 million times. I've seen it a bazillion times.
Yeah, it's a rough one. So I guess my question is, if one person trademarks Life's a Batch, does everybody else get ruined?
I think you can send it and say, here's my name.
And for you guys who think you're just going to trademark a bunch of stuff, I think you have to prove that you use it. Like I had a file that we had the podcast and stuff. Like I had to say all this thing.
Although there's this TikTok drama and they trademarked this lady's handle. And TikTok took her account down because they had the trademark. So we're getting into this new world of
malicious trademark.
Yeah, where social media handles matter.
It really does make a difference. I mean, if anything, that was 15 years ago with that website.
I know.
So it all exists there. So start with legal. If it's already taken, don't touch it. Just move right along, buddy. You can't do anything.
Yeah, and what you don't want to do is take it and think, oh, I'm Small Beans. Right? I'll share the name with the person who has the trademark. No one will know. And then
what if it's not Small Beans? What if this is Big Beans?
What if this takes off? You start making a really good income from it, and then you're served with.
Yeah, hey, this is trademark.
Yeah.
So just something to keep in mind. And if you're getting started, I would not file a trademark. Personally, I would say, let me get started, see if this works. Let me find a brand that nobody's using, and then I would make a decision maybe a year from now.
Absolutely.
I'm not trying to put a ton of money up front and then be like, I don't want to do that.
I didn't really like it. I didn't play nice with me. I don't want to play with it anymore.
Okay, and then I would say, if somebody is using, let's say nobody has the trademark, but somebody has the name. And the great example is Life's a Batch, because you see it so often. It's such a cute name. It's a play on words. It's a batch of cookies. Then you're going to say, how many people will I be competing with in this space? So there's an example. Oh yeah, this one client that I had. I'm just gonna say that Gabe's is a furniture store. I think
it is no. We have it in the north too. There's like one in Woodbridge.
Right.
Yeah.
What is it? Is it discount?
It's like a discount furniture store, I think.
And in the same space, in the same zip code, is Gabe's Automotive. So while they're not infringing on each other, you got one is Gabe's Furniture and one's Gabe's Automotive. When you search, it will always try to populate Gabe's Furniture, which is a national
huge business,
and not Gabe's Automotive, which is just servicing Woodbridge, Virginia. So I think even if you're not legally bound to the trademark of Gabe's Furniture and Gabe's Automotive, you've got a huge branding problem in terms of search engines.
Yeah, because when I type in, I only know him as his shop as Gabe's. I don't type in the word automotive.
No,
because I don't know
that will be your second search after the first.
Yeah, so I type in Gabe's and then I click it's the furniture store.
Thankfully, Gabe's Furniture and Gabe's Automotive, very clear distinction.
Yes.
But when we go to Life's a Batch, Virginia, Life's a Batch. I'm sorry, if you're a Life's a Batch person, I'm so sorry that we're picking on you. But Life's a Batch, New Zealand. Life's a Batch, Maine.
Yeah.
Then you're like, okay, this is a little bit confusing for the audience because you all are selling cookies.
And it's hard to know which one is different. You know, because you're like, oh yeah, I've always been Life's Batch by Corey. But here's the problem. That new audience, they're not going to remember that one detail, Corey. No one even knows that. People call me Connie, man.
Yep. They really do. The interesting thing is, even if there's not a trademark filed, and let's say within the state that you live in, you registered your business. Well, nobody else can name it that within the same state. If that doesn't say cross state, they can.
Right.
And that's always confusing as well. I know my dad had a company and had an acronym, and another in a couple states away had the same thing. So our battle is not only to outrank people that were his competitors locally, but also this random company in states and states.
Yeah.
Away.
And if SEO isn't your you're not investing in your SEO on your website, which is search engine optimization, then a lot of times when they search up your name, your competitors or someone who has a similar name will pop up.
Right.
Because your website hasn't been established.
So bring it back again. The legal thing is see if it's trademarked, see if it's registered in your state. That doesn't give you free and clear, but if neither of those is touched, it's a good sign. But then we're going to move over to branding, and then we're going to circle back to social, which is not a legal aspect. But those two legal ones, you got it. If either one of those comes back with the red X, you got to, don't even try.
Don't fall in love with the name.
No,
fall in love with the not red X.
Yeah. So then we go to branding. What I see the offense is done here is to make it, and I know we're like telling you to do one thing and telling you the other. When you make it too complicated, it makes branding really difficult. So keep it simple, stupid.
Silly. Keep it simple.
Silly branding goose. Person. So when I see really, really long names, all I can picture in my head is if you put a logo with that and you need to put it on a business card that's 3 by 2 inches, it makes that really, really long name really, really hard.
Really tiny.
Yeah, and a lot of our audience are grandmothers, great grandmothers now, I guess, that are all like, that's really hard to read. So you could have the best name in all the branding world.
Yeah.
And if you can't read it, it's too complicated.
Amazing Custom Cookies by Corey, Lake Ridge, Virginia.
That would be a long one.
That would be a long one. If you have to grab your glasses.
Yeah.
To see it.
Great test. Yep. So try printing it really little. I think it's always easy to see, like 2 by 3 on my computer is the size of my face. I can make it the size
it
of
looks
my
great.
Face. Like, Canva will be like, how much do you want to zoom in? But when you print it on a really teeny tiny business card, which you can do a dry run and just print 2 inches by 3 inches on an 8.5 by 11 and see truly how small it is. I always, we have these clients and did a little bit of like graphic design for them, and they'd be like, add this, that, and the other. And I'm like, well, we're at 8 size font.
Right.
Like 8 is hard to read.
At the end of the day, the page can't get any bigger.
The font
the stuff can only get smaller.
Right. So when you think of that, I'd prefer keeping it simple. Now, Corey has a pretty long name.
MCBB?
Mixing Bowl Cookie Co.
Oh, I got that wrong. Man, acronym, whatever. Is that an acronym? Are those things?
Have your Wheaties this morning?
I had two bananas.
Here, lay off one. We need to back you off the hands. So with the branding, Mixing Bowl Cookie Company is a cute name. And when I can break it up, but now think of it in terms of the email address where it's a long line.
That you're going to be spending a couple minutes time.
Yeah. So that is something. I even look at Corey like, oh, that's long. But can I keep it simple? The shorter it is, if you ever look up domains, you can't buy 3-character domains anymore. They're all taken and they're worth $1 billion. Yeah. So like any acronyms. So then you get longer and longer and longer until they're so long. You're like, oh my goodness, I wonder why nobody would ever want this. So there is too short, there's too long, there's too common and too complex.
Yeah.
And much like in life, everything kind of falls within the middle of these two, right? So unfortunately, branding is, there's no right or wrong answer. It's somewhere in the middle.
When I was doing the Vendy Blendy posts, oh, sorry, I said the word, my bad.
Weird.
The thing we can't talk about. The biggest thing that I saw was your name was one, your website was different. But then I'm going to just type your name in because that's what's most natural these days.
Right.
But then it'll be like 404, this website's not found.
Or the handle, we're like, it's got to be this.
Yeah.
And they're like, this doesn't even exist.
Like the handle, the name, and the websites don't match.
That is a confusing branding. And your audience doesn't, and Corey and I were invested. You literally had paid us.
Yeah, like I was going to search for it and find it.
But your audience is like, yeah, I need cookies like yesterday, and I'll pay your rush fee, but I don't want to hunt you down in the vast caverns. That's why I always appreciate that people have a website, because I see it as air traffic control for branding. Like, so if I can't find your brand, I'm going to go to your website, I'm going to scroll to the footer. That's where I'm always going to look.
That's another thing. Like, I know we were putting it was trendy to put your face on your bakery Instagram account, but I don't know what you look like. But if your branding on Facebook is your logo, and then I go over here, I'm literally guessing. I am looking for any sign to connect the two.
The hybrid is you bake your logo into a cookie that you're holding with your face.
That is what
Listen, guys, I gotta go to it. So keep the branding simple. And when I'm talking about branding, not just a name, but also the logo. So as we move into the logo, I always want to ask this. I think the Munbin keeps us honest.
It does.
It takes no prisoners. If your logo is too complex, it'll be like, it's like printing out nothing. It's like printing out air.
It's like 2 pixels on
Munbin,
there.
If you don't know what a Munbin is, it's a brand of thermal printer. Thermal printer doesn't use ink. It uses heat and it only does in black. Right. So where there's a lot of color.
Think of Burns. Burns are black.
Wherever it has a lot of color, it'll create a lot of black.
Yeah.
Wherever you have really light colors, it's really hard for it to read, but it'll do like a little speckling.
A little speckling. But if you have like a very concentrated, like your name is like, the circle one that goes around it.
Exactly.
It can't. It's just going to burn a little.
If you want to know if your logo is too complicated or too light or
send it to a Munbin.
Send it to a Munbin. Munbin will tell you the truth. And it'll print 2 extra ones just to prove it to you. So does it print on a Munbin? Because even from a branding perspective, if you need to label each cookie and it doesn't print on a Munbin, you're going to have an exponentially high cost going to a sticker company.
Absolutely. And the stickers, guys, let me tell you, the sticker market, it's charging its worth.
No wonder why Sticker Mule can run those discounts. They're still so expensive. So Munbin, I think I did the price. I think it's like pennies per print. And then you can put that on the bottom of your cookie under the cellophane and people can unwrap it. But if you can't get your logo to show up, then what was the point of the branding? Right?
Right. Then just put your ingredients in and call it a day.
So I always like to see if your font is too thin, Munbin don't see it.
Yeah. If it's too thick,
Munbin only see it. But a lot of the time, so when we think about kind of creating logos, a lot of people jump into Canva. I have not done the research. I think it is kind of very specific. That is very weird that it doesn't want you to always design your logo there. I know because you got to pay for those clipboards, and I'm not touching that.
Right.
But from what I've seen, they're like dump.
It's like corporate, like you can use this for personal use. Corporate is a little bit different.
I'm not sure what the legality is behind it. I know when I buy stock photography and need to use it, I got to buy a certain commercial.
Right. So here's the issue. Canva is so easily accessible. Mm-hmm. It's just nice to jump in there and create something. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. Everyone else can create the same thing because they're using the same graphics.
Right. So then you see, and I saw this happen maybe sometime last year to a baker who said, I thought this was my own logo, but I found somebody else using it. Well, it turns out the designer was designing in Canva and had sold them both the same logo, which necessarily wasn't wrong. It wasn't determined that this was a one-off logo. Yeah. So then we have that brand confusion yet again, where we have very, very similar logos. And you'll be so surprised. It's a mixing bowl. It's a mixer. In a floral surround.
Yeah. Which we see a lot.
Right.
But you can't say, hey, so-and-so in Nebraska, you're using my logo.
When you guys got it from a free source or when you got it from a place where neither of you should have gotten it.
You have no recourse there.
So with Corey's logo, we leaned more heavily into the text and with just a little icon.
Little baby icon. Easy to use, easy to see, easy
and
to
you don't see it used again because the name is the logo.
Yeah.
Right? So that's something to keep in mind. Does it fit on a business card? Again, I always want to say, if you can't see it on a business card,
didn't you make it mixing bowl and then you put under it cookie? Like we didn't do it long ways.
Absolutely,
we did a stack of Runesky.
So I stacked them, and that worked great for the logo.
Yeah,
but it is terrible for the email address.
It is all run down. Heather even took off company and just did go, and it's still long.
Right. So if I could go back in time, would I have tweaked that? Yeah. But again, at the end of the day, is it something I'm willing to risk? I didn't put your email address on your logo, on your business card.
Here's the thing, though. Corey, why don't you just do Co? That's because the social media handle was taken by a dead account. Mm-hmm. I'm still looking at you. Mixing Bowl Cookie Co. hasn't posted since 2018.
Cookie Marketing hasn't posted since 2018.
Yes. That takes us to our...
Right. Well, to what? The SEO?
You said your handles.
Yeah. So when we go to switch, so that was legal. Then we got branding. Yeah. So you can see how this is not just a one-sided question. Like find a name nobody uses. That would be simple. No. But instead, it's find a name no one uses that's easy to see on a small business card that can print out on a Munbin. That ranks well, and the .com and handles aren't taken.
That also says what you do without not saying what you don't do.
And then we're going to end with, don't make it too complicated. So when I see people like, hey, I like it when the stars align on June 7th. Also, I'm a Sagittarius, and my kids' names start with Bob, Stephen,
and my
Jesse.
Nickname in high school was Boobily Boop.
Favorite animal is a cow. Can you come up with a name for me? So that when you make those really complicated too. So from the SEO, search engine optimization, again, back to the Gabe's comparison. We have check to see if a name already ranks. Even if it's not trademark, even if it's not registered, does it already rank? And that could be somebody who just has a side business, a hobby. There are people who can create blogs that don't require register. Maybe they're not generating any income, but it's easy to create the .com. So let's say you say Life's a Batch. Turns out Life's a Batch is a lady's blog about her home cooking. It has nothing to do with cottage bakery. She's not selling anything. But it already ranks first. And she's been doing it for 15 years. This internet started, she got this .com, and she's never stopped typing.
Yeah.
You say, well, I'm going to move in with Life's a Batch. Heather. Life's a Batch. And I'm going to try to compete with that. That's going to be a very, very big uphill battle
versus finding something that maybe someone hasn't already invested time and energy into, and you could quickly move to the top.
Well, then you say, well, I'm going to add Life's a Batch of Cookies. Well, great, but how many people are using that? Now our names are getting longer. Just something to keep in mind. Again, it's to get something, you must give something in the world of branding. Then we have check for very similar names. So, Life's a Batch, and then people put the differentiator at the end.
Virginia.
What's another common one that we see?
Cookies by Corey, cookies by Heather, cookies by.
Great example.
Yeah, but there are unique names, but now cookies by Corey, people don't even spell Corey the way that I spell it. That gets us
to the next, literally the next thing is no misspelling. So a common thing when I see people are like, well, that's taken, but it's not taken if I spell cookies with a Z.
Yeah.
K-O-O.
Cookies with a K.
With a K, yeah. Cookies with a K and a Z.
Wow.
Change the middle K to a C and the first C to a
K. The two O's are 0.
And when you start introducing misspellings, we have the other side of the coin is how can you verbally communicate your branding? It's
so much harder. And then it's harder to grow your business because I would be like, I hate saying my email address. Corey Mason 1122. It's Corrie. A as an apple. No, don't write apple.
1 typed out the numerical value. Yeah. 2.
Do you see, the conversation that should have been short is so much longer.
When I think of there's a company that delivers auto parts around the area. You know what I'm saying? It's Wheels Up, right? Which I think is a play on airplanes, but they deliver car parts. So a little bit of branding confusion.
Weird.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But I know that from what I can see is the service centers will need a new part and they will deliver it today. That's the whole business model. But Wheels Up, super cute. Wheels Up being a very old term used in aerospace, it's obviously taken, right?
For sure.
So they say, well, we'll just replace the S with a Z, and now it's Wheels with a Z up. That's how you'd have to communicate the name. Wheels with a Z up. Now it's not as simple as and cute as it was. Now it's Wheels with a Z up, verbally communicated.
So now when you're like, I'm with Wheels Up. WHEELZ. That's a lot of time. Granted, people are like, you're putting your name in, your time. But the people don't remember what they had for dinner yesterday. They're not going to remember the Z.
Let's say for some reason I've gotten into auto parts buying. And I'm driving down 45's traffic. I see a Wheels Up truck and I say to myself, I'll look that up later. I'm not going to text and drive. Right? I'm not going to sit in traffic and text. So then I get home and I'm thinking, oh my God, Wheels Up. So I Google Wheels Up, which is just a start of my search. But I forget that it's a Z. I just I remembered the word.
Word wheels.
Now we have to sift through to try to figure out what that misspelling
so you're typing in whatever Wheels Up is, who has with an S. Yeah. You're typing in there. I don't think that was the name.
Right. What? If you had only 2 clicks, let's say you had only 2 queries to find it. First I do Wheels Up. That'd be the wrong query. Then I'd do Wheels Up car parts, and I'd hope, and likely it would. That would be. But what if I was only?
What if you had no time?
I know.
You needed that car part in 1 click.
Yeah,
you're out of here, man.
So if the first one is Wheels Up and it doesn't show up, my next one likely will be auto parts delivery companies, and I'll just start the search.
Right. So I think when you're thinking of a name, think how would you tell someone to remember that name? Corey Mason. 1122. Spending that much time talking about how to spell
you're your email out on a podcast nobody listens to for fear you get spammed, but I think they get tired of typing it.
You Corey,
whatever. Spam yourself.
Don't worry, I've already signed up for everything on this one.
I know. So now everyone's like, okay, well, I got a great idea. I'm going to put a dash.
Oh.
Okay.
Dash you. Gosh darn it.
So here we have now another complexity of branding is putting in dashes. So you say, okay, Wheels Up is taken, but Wheels dash up, spelled correctly, is not. What a great solution. I get what I want. I have no misspellings. Nobody else is using it. It's not registered. It's not trademarked. I have one. But now you have this introduced essentially the same issue as a typo. Tell me what your website is.
It's Wheels dash, not the word. Just a symbol up.
Right. So now let's say I go home and every handle would need to have that dash in it, which now you've left elbow room for somebody without the dash.
Here's the thing. When someone's searching a handle, and it's because I do it often, I'm going to search what I just think Wheels Up. I'm not going to search Wheels dash up because
No.
I don't know that
And
the
you know
dash.
what's so frustrating? While Google can kind of
Yeah.
like Google search engine can connect the fact that you didn't put the dash in and you probably wanted the auto parts company. Instagram is like, you're on your own.
Instagram
If
says
you didn't add this period-
unless it's identical.
I'm going to
show you everything.
my exes if I have to remember dashes and
I'm
periods.
going to show you everything but the account that you're
Yeah.
looking for.
It's so wild. Like Instagram is so, it needs it perfectly or it doesn't give you
Yeah.
anything. It doesn't even show a relationship between what you thought it was and what it could be.
Right.
So, okay, Google does. So when that happens and I'm trying to tag a business for this podcast or something, then I go to Google, try to find their website, try to find their handle in the footer, and then I can
Yeah,
tag
but
them
look,
out.
now we're going down this insane
You've
rabbit
got a
hole.
PhD.
Like,
and
why
trying
am
to
I
tag
going
it.
to your website's footer to see what your name is on Instagram? That's a lot of work.
That's a lot of work because the branding was so confusing. And Corey and I have incentive to do it because these people are paying us. But when it's your audience who's trying to pay you and they only have 3 seconds, and if you want to know how many competitors you have, ask in a community group looking for a cookie baker. That's who they're just going to go to.
Absolutely.
So moving on, we have check.com. Okay, now we're going back to websites, which is an aspect of branding. It's actually a big aspect of branding. If you want to move into the .com, I always tell people if you're listening to this, even if you're not ready to build the website, if the .com's available, park it.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Most bakers will start off on places like Facebook or Instagram. It's easy. It's free. It's
That's
there.
probably where you think this is going to take you to, and you don't see
Absolutely.
the future there. You're actually pretty good at this.
Yeah, but we're missing a whole audience. A lot of people don't get on Facebook as it. We have tunnel vision. We're on Facebook, so we assume everyone is like us.
We also think most of our leads come from Facebook because that's where we're generating our leads.
There's this whole cold audience on Google that's right for the picking.
Right. Google's not $1 billion company because nobody's using it.
Yeah. I feel like Facebook is top of funnel. Like, I'm looking for a recommendation for a baker, and then they get listed 140. But if you're like, you know what, I don't got that kind of time to get in my community group.
Picture this. Your husband needs to find a cookie baker. What's he going to do?
He's going to Google it.
Yeah,
he's
'cause
not
he
going to
doesn't
go
even- he's not
into a
even
little
on
local
Facebook.
group. Yeah, absolutely not.
So he's going to Google it, but you have wheels dash up with a Z / cookie company .com .co because the .com was taken, even though it wasn't a registered business, it's not trademarked.
Yeah.
The .com wasn't taken. If I tell Ruthie, this is 85, she'll be 85, mister. If I tell her to look up like CoreyMiracle.co, she'll type in CoreyMiracle.co.com. It always ended at .com. She's just very conditioned. We were very conditioned because the .com bubble told us that all websites end in .com.
Absolutely.
.coms have been pretty taken, but I'd say until we can get everyone to shift to a .io,
Yeah.
like all the AI.io, like until we can get people to mentally shift over, I'm always going to prefer the .com, then maybe the .co or the .net, and then after that, just go.
And think who your target audience is. You're like, no, I'm a young buck. I'm 18 years old. This is what we do.
Your prices are for the 60-year-olds.
Your prices for us. .co.com.
I worked for this company, and they started like a subsidiary of a flooring company, and I think it was like flooring experts. Like it was pretty basic. But then I was like, oh, like what was did you get the .com? They're like, oh no, it's taken. So I said, well, what did you get? The .us.
.us. I would never type that in.
Never in a billion years.
When I type in a website and it's not .com and it like shows like it's taken by someone else, I'm like taken aback.
Yeah.
I'm like, what could it possibly? Do they not have a website?
This is how I know there's so many people in the world. You try to find a website you think is a creative name.
Oh,
see, it starts
me and Heather. The amount of websites amount of businesses we've helped name because of the websites.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Like we've sat with business owners and like, I want to name it this, and we're like, hold on, can't. Sorry, that one's taken.
yeah. I mean, and then you got to see if there's any hidden words. And
we did.
You know, when I dance around the word here. So it was an exteriors company. That if the first word, the branding word, so let's say it's Corey Exterior.
Yeah.
If it ends with an S, it creates a second word in the middle.
Corey's Exteriors. Do the math.
Right, and then I said, well. You could, but from a branding aspect, from human beings, and I think they would just see the middle of those two words conjoined together.
Yes.
Something to keep in mind, too, because that was just a wild thought.
And we
derailed that whole meeting.
It did. It really did.
It was the most awkward meeting I've ever had. Then we have check the handle. So, let's recap where you have to check. Like, the branding is so much more complex than my favorite is cows. Like, can somebody come up with it? Is it trademarked? Is it registered in your state?
Did you just say, is it cows?
Like if someone's like, oh, cow cookie company, like that's super cute and simple. Like what a little thought you had, and it's a cute thought. But now you got to run it through this process.
What it was to name a business back in the day, like you were just like, I hope probably no one has this Cows Cookie Company. Now you have to be like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook,
YouTube,
Nextdoor, your local.
Your .com.
.com.
Your registered state, your national trademark.
Yeah. Wow. It's not easy anymore.
The lawyers are like, do you want to trademark it in Canada? No. They can start their own sugar cookie market. I'm not trying to spend any more money. They can have it. And why care about any of this? Why make this so complicated? Because audience confusion. What I don't want to is name my business so close to somebody else's that I'm actually sending them leads.
Yeah. Losing leads.
Yeah. It's so funny. You see it every once in a while in the sugar cookie marketing group. Somebody will say, someone thought I was a baker local to them. We do have the same name, but we're actually states away.
Yeah.
They placed an order. I baked the order. I say, when you come to pick it up at the address. And they said, I don't even live 100, 200 miles from you. Can you ship it? Well, they're like, well, I can't ship it. It's legal in my state. But it was the branding confusion. All they did was do what normal people do. They searched it, clicked on the first, placed the order. And that is what is so complex and confusing, and why I think branding is so important. Now, from that aspect, let's say you brand now, and then a year from now, you're like, well, I wish Corey, you were saying you think people don't want their names in it.
What I see in the group is a lot of people are like, yeah, this was going to be fun. I was just going to sell to friends and family. So I did Cookies by Corey. And I hate that my name's a part of it. I want to rebrand. So what I see is that Cookies by Corey is how you built your brand. And then you change it to something so obscure, which is normal. A lot of people do obscure names. But I don't know who you are anymore. Who are you?
Another one I see people rebranding is they said, I started with Cookies by Corey, but I want to do baked items by Corey.
Yes.
They want to expand their offering. So things to keep in mind. And as if it wasn't already so complex, like what we threw at you wasn't so complex. We're also saying think 3 years in advance.
I know.
3 years and think.
People don't want to just say cookie, so they'll be like Corey's Baked Emporium.
But here's the problem. Don't you make me spell Emporium. I know.
But so you don't want to like pigeonhole yourself, but then maybe years down the road, you're like, honestly, I just like doing cookies. Do you see where you have to think a long time?
Right.
Long term.
Look at Corey and her cookies as a great example of the pain that it was to rebrand. You did exactly what everyone did. I want to learn cookies. I'm going to start on Facebook page.
When I started, I was the crumbed cookies. No one had it. But crumble cookies
was just included it in articles like
crumble cookies was this little thought over
in
California
of a business tycoon who loved to sue.
They're not going to be much.
Yeah. So what happened was towards the end, like the final nail in your branding coffin was somebody who got mad. The cookie they bought in Florida didn't taste good.
Yeah, and I was
Corey.
What?
And it was an elderly gentleman, but that still proves that this brand confusion can cross a globe.
Yeah, and when people would tag me in local groups, they would type crumble cookie. And I'm like, oh, gosh darn it.
And it shows you that crumble cookie had better branding than you. So people remembered it more. And you were so close. How could you not be confused within that audience? So what Corey did and what was a pain and what is a lot of paperwork and refiling and changing and updating and social media.
A whole marketing campaign around it. Instead of me trying to market cookies, I'm trying to market my name.
I want to let you know, like, we're still finding remnants of the old brand. I found it. Where did I find it? I found it on the Cookie Classes website.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, the crumb cookies live on.
I know. And then every time anyone has ever tagged me on Instagram, it goes nowhere now.
Oh, those old ones. Because Instagram is like, good luck with the
sorry
rebrand,
about
buddy. So when you with a domain, like if somebody has just one brand and then they purchase another domain brand, you can redirect the one to the other. So people are like, oh, whoa, where am I? Oh, I guess this is the new brand.
Yeah.
On Instagram, it's like, buddy, you're dead to me. Every tag goes nowhere. Nobody can register the handle again.
Yeah.
I'm sure that will change eventually.
I think they did change that, to be quite honest.
Did you know Google's like, if you don't log into this old email you made in 3 days, we're going to
I did find, though, on Facebook, I was making sure everything on my page was up to date. You can put a former name on there. And they will, if you wanted to, you can pin it at the top, or you can just leave it in your about section.
I think your Google My Business still has formerly. And that helps a little bit. But that's such a pain. And I would love to save people from that pain if you're getting started, or if you're like, hey, I'm in the middle of the pain. I got to rebrand. These are the things I would keep in mind. So just to recap, check with your legal registered state, check on the national trademark database. That's where you're going to start. If it's taken, it's taken. My next thought would be checking handles in the .com. See if those are available. What are we working with? Is it something that it hasn't been updated in a while we can compete with? Is it going to, like you'll see that Corey and I have an underscore in Sugar Cookie Marketing underscores Instagram. Unfortunately, but it was our only option.
Yeah.
We had most of what we wanted, so it was a risk we were willing to take. It is annoying. I hate it.
Heather tried to bribe the person with the main account.
$100 if you log in. Of course
never
they
even
don't log
logged
into
in.
it. Yeah, they never even open.
Yeah.
So then we have, branding. So let's say it passes all those things. Okay, we don't have any misspellings. We don't have any characters added. We got our .com. We got our handles. Nothing shows up fresh when it ranks. There's nothing there where somebody's actively pouring their heart, soul, mind into it. Then we got to go to the branding aspect. Does the logo and the name print well? Can a Munbin see it? Can you get a unique logo design that's memorable and not confusing?
Yeah.
And then Corey oddly says, tell them to get the files, PNG, PDF, JPEG, EPS, AI.
Because it's such a pain when you just designed yourself in Canva and then you want to make a little business card and so-and-so company got print and it was like, yeah, we need this file. And you're like, I don't know what that means.
Right. If you worst case, one, you can't own it if you got it in Canva, but you can always get somebody on Fiverr to trace it.
Yeah.
And that's called vector tracing. And then they can produce those 5 files, which you do it for $12. Love it.
Not bad.
But so and then does it fit on a business card? Is it easy to read? Is it easy to remember? So there is a lot that goes into branding. But if you came to me and you said, hey, somebody in my state is very close, is this name, and this is what I want to name it, and we're very close, I would say, hey, I'd rethink the name.
Yeah.
I think you're going to grow into more growing pains, and you're going to wish that when you got started, you hadn't done that.
Uh-huh.
If somebody is very into growing their business, I wouldn't want to try to compete with that growth.
Right.
Not only are you trying to grow your audience and get people, now you're competing with somebody's name, and that is just difficult.
And the problem is if you're local and you choose a name that's similar to someone else local, when your customers go to sing your praises or tag you, they're one, if your logo's similar, if your name's similar, they don't know which one's you, and they don't have the time to go research, who am I going to tag? Because one, if I'm in the comment section, I have to leave the comment section, go search you up, go back, try to find that post back to the comment section. What a pain, man.
You'd have to be truly dedicated.
You'd have to. I wish I had those.
Here, let me put it this way. How hard is it to get someone to leave a review that's bought from you and enjoyed it?
Yeah,
that's
finally,
so impossible.
my number one customer finally was like, I guess I should probably leave you a review sometime soon. You think?
So if it's hard to get somebody who loved their order, orders from you repetitively, knows everything about you, you've met, you've seen their kids, whose birthdays, if it takes them that long to write a review, imagine how short the attention span is if
someone doesn't even care about your soul.
Yeah. Imagine, my thought is if I'm like, life's a batch, Virginia, and 5 of you show up, I'm probably going to just pick the first one. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. And I don't got the time to investigate.
Do you know when I was going to order something from this website?
Huh.
I was like, I just Googled something. It was the first thing that showed up. So great SEO. Awesome. It was like an obscure search. But when I pulled the website, I'm like, this website looks crusty. Looks old.
Yes.
It looks old. And that's fine. And the old websites, sometimes it's hard to move the database over. But I was like, let me check their Facebook to see. It had last posted 2016.
See, I would be like,
I could have brought my wallet out.
They've gone under.
I'd have to say,
Also, what a lot of bakers do, they'll start a page, Cookies by Corey, and be like, I want to be a better brand. I'm going to start a new page. But I've abandoned Cookies by Corey. Everyone who ordered from Cookies by Corey.
We talked about this in another podcast. I would take the same page and rebrand it. I wouldn't create a new page. But if I did do the create a new page, like let's say I was moving and rebranding, that's when I would order from maybe the other page. But you're starting from scratch. I would make multiple posts continually over a period of time and transition my audience over to the new page. It's probably just easy to rebrand the page you have. You keep that audience. But again, we talked about when the audience changes. Right. Corey rebranded if it didn't move. You people who move all the time, you got a whole other level of complexity there. That is tough to the move thing, but I'd still probably keep the same audience, man.
Just because I feel like people who loved you, even if you were in Hawaii, they'll still love you, and maybe
you have people that love you.
Do I? I don't know. That's all I got.
That's good. It's rough, but I would rather think about it now.
Spend the time before you're launching and you're making orders and you're too busy to do the research. Mm-hmm. Spend it now.
Sometimes you don't know that you should have done the research because you don't realize what you lost, right? Your audience is being plugged over somewhere else and you're like, I just can't get it.
And I will say a lot of times people are like, Heather, your cookies are so cute. You should probably sell them. And you're like, oh, I don't know. Okay, let me just make a little Facebook page. I'm going to make a Facebook page, Cookies by Heather, just to post up what I'm doing because, just to show my friends and family.
That's how everybody got started. Nobody said, hey, listen, I'm going to sit down and develop a business plan.
Except for crumble cookies.
Crumble cookies, like, we're here to sue people and sell cookies, and we're all out of cookies. So if you can think about it now, you're going to save yourself a buttload of rebranding pain, money. Not to mention rebranding. If you already had something printed, you have to throw that away.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
All my little stickers with my little sad crying cookie.
Yeah, Corey.
I only now have them from just memoirs.
And almost you can recycle. It is.
They're so little and cute.
Make a
we just put them on things. Yeah, but I was like, I'll never use that.
I'll never use it. So if you guys can get out the gate with this concept now, and Corey and I do the marketing company, and it's problems we've seen introduced so many times for so many clients in so many industries.
Yeah,
you can kind of get away from it and then save yourself from the problems we created for ourselves.
True. So if you're listening to this and you've already been an established baker, share this podcast with somebody who is a newer baker, who's thinking about it, who's reached out to you at some point in time and said, hey, should I make this a thing? Share this podcast with them so they don't have to go through the pain, trials, and tribulations that Heather went through when she hit the water at the last stall in the bathroom.
You guys asked me. So I have to go there. Why I have trust issues and commitment issues. Let's move on to text. Tracy from Sugar Bees here. Hi, just finished listening to the Peaky Blinders episode. Is Heather going to do a live in the main group showing us how to update the DMARC record for Gmail? Yes, please, and thank you. My favorite twin is, you know what, I'm not going to do that in the main group. It's too complicated. But what I am going to do in the main group, and Corey and I have said it on the last podcast, is we're going to do Facebook Lives each month in the main group, you and I.
Going back to our question, is that something that you can do in the college?
Yeah.
Oh,
right. It's just sometimes, and that's a great question, Tracy, is like when it's too complicated and I post in the main group, I create fear mongering.
Yeah. We don't want fear mongering.
Right. A lot of people aren't sending out newsletters anyways to have to worry about what the DMARC record is. For those who know, if you have a newsletter sender anywhere, they're saying, hey, Google and Yahoo, oddly, who cares about Yahoo, are pushing out this thing that starts February 1st, which is this week, that you have to prove that you own your domain. Pretty simple concept, but the way they're explaining it is pretty complex.
Yeah. But if you want it to be knocked down to our layman's terms, Heather has a video, a course. She's making a video, a little course.
Cookie class kits first. Who was supposed to get to me early? The cookie class kits.
Listen, the cookie class kits arrived to me early.
Right. You've had it for a while.
And I've taken my time to give you the best looking sets.
I think you were sleeping at 12.
Give you I was supposed to do it on Sunday, and I was so tired.
Here's how the cookie class kits work. Corey works with Sweet Pink Olive, who works with their sister-in-law.
Yeah.
To design chunky cutters. From there, then they get printed once the design is finalized, and they all match, and all the sets match all the
To her, she has to go and make sure that what she designed doesn't look like someone else's. Do you see? Like,
there's
we're all doing
it. A lot of this little checkin.
Yeah.
Because what we don't want is to say everyone teaches class, and a cookie cutter shop be like, that is mine.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure that they're all unique. They're hand drawn by the sister-in-law. Then it comes back to Corey, approval. Then they got to get printed.
They got to get printed.
We got 6 of these printed. Then they get to Corey, and she's got to develop the sets. Then she's got to go through the steps to make sure it's not too complicated for a class, but it's also not too basic.
Also, that the steps line up in a way that your class isn't sitting there for a step while you're like, sorry, can you blow on it so it could crust over real quick?
And I will say that is complex, and I couldn't do it myself. So then once she gets it done, she has to make it again and photograph the steps. And then she has to stage it. Okay, so that is a lot. And then you have to make the videos of decorating.
Now I do the videos.
I can see you have a system because your folder structure is very regimented. At the beginning, it was like all over the map.
My very last thing is the videos.
So then she sends it to me, and you think all I have to do is upload it. No, I have to organize it. Then I have to create social media posts from it. Then I have to create the PowerPoint from it. And then I do the copy and the event listing and the social media and the emoji list, which I like.
Yeah.
The piping practice sheet, the icons for those who like to use Eddie to print the traced shapes, and then the baking math sheet and the shop list. And then it gets posted.
And then
so by the time I get it, it's usually the day before it needs to go up.
So Heather we don't deserve her,
I don't think anybody deserves any of this. I think we all bring a lot to the table, and without us, the whole thing stops. So anyways, in the college, I can get in a little bit more in depth without causing massive panic. However, you don't need the college to update your DMARC record. Your newsletter sender sent you an email. Click on it. It'll go step by step telling you to log into your registrar. That's GoDaddy. That's Namecheap. I use Namecheap. It's going to say go to your DNS, do exactly what it says, and it's going to say add this line of code and click save. It's 3 steps. It just sounds so much more complex than it should.
If you're visual like me, though, sign up for the college. I'll put a class in there.
Yeah. And I did. What did I do that one last week and nobody watched it?
The email, Sig?
Oh, yeah. How to do a free email using your domain, which we did in our registrar.
And I like it. It looks professional. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. And then I respond as Heather. Good morning. Hello.
Oh, I wonder how you sent the whole Lake Ridge one. Mm-hmm. How do I respond as the Lake Ridge one? Oh,
you didn't watch my class, did ya?
No, I did
not. That's
not.
what it says. You can't. You'd have to create an alias.
Yeah, there's hello. This is Corey. I miss my mom.
That's the unfortunate catch. You want to be cheap? You get cheap results. But it is free to do that. So that is a great question. Corey and I will be teaching a Facebook Live on Cookie Class.
We will.
Q&A.
Q&A. AMA.
Then we have a text. Hello, I wanted to inquire about your monthly package. My wife shared her interest as she has a cookie business, is looking to expand and grow to the next level. I visited the website, which is great, but I wanted to ask if you can share a bit more details regarding the $76 package and what it includes and what you would gain from it. And thanks again for your time, Mike.
Mike, just in time for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, Mike is going to
way to go, Mike.
So great question. The $76 plan is the Cookie College level plan. A quick summary, it includes everything we offer. So we have 5 different memberships. The Cookie College, the Cookie Class Kids, we just talked about, the digital downloads, which are coming out with some new things.
I do. I'm excited about that.
The Baker's Business Basics, which is 13 foundational courses, and the $2 Transfer Club. These $76 includes all that. If you paid for those separately, it'd be at $189.
Right. But what the college has is why we priced it that way, because we want you to be in the college. That's where the most value is found.
Get your butt to college.
In the college, Heather has gone through, and it's called the Cookie College because I'm a cookie baker. But the stuff in there is not necessarily for people who only bake sugar cookies.
It's actually more business marketing.
It's business and marketing, the DNS records, setting up an email that looks like your domain name, things like that to really help your business, 1, become more efficient, 2, look more professional, and 3, reach more people. So there's a Facebook ads course, which is fantastic. I love running a Facebook ad.
You know what's so funny? Like in the Cookie College, because it's such a more petite group, it's easier to manage. So the conversations can get more in-depth.
Yeah.
But I was running a Facebook ad for a local group we created. And someone in the Cookie College was like, hey, Heather, I'm seeing this all the way in California. And I'm like, oh, darn. Like when I went to increase the budget, the ad spend, because I liked the way the ad was performing.
Increased the people.
It increased my targeting radius from 1 mile to 1 country. So I was able to, they're constantly saying, I can see this ad here. Somebody changed their ad.
Yeah.
So the Facebook group is actually, I didn't realize it was going to be everyone's favorite thing, but last week I had to post up study buddies where you could partner with somebody else in the college and you could keep each other accountable to move your business forward. So while there's a lot of courses and there's a lot of stuff, it is the camaraderie. I know, because we have a pretty isolating business, right? Yeah, sure. You guys are making unicorns and happy rainbows.
But you're in your little cookie room.
You're isolated.
You're one little light that looks like a jail cell.
And then you barely see people having showered. I think most of us are hiding behind windows for porch pickups.
Yeah, looking through our blind.
So we have even less camaraderie. But then in that group, you get people, like-minded people. And I still keep it in check, but it's a lot more freeing. You can talk about strategies like someone called somebody smutty. In the comments.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
And he was like, I don't really know how to handle this. I never called smutty before. But we were like, oh, yeah, probably. You can hide comments.
Yeah, and have a little bit more strategy and a little bit more tailored, too.
Right. So I could talk about the DMARC record without inflicting panic and mass hysteria over there. Because I can't guarantee no one's going to watch my class. You're going to be like, DMARC, be interested. I'd prefer my emails and spam than watching this class. So that is our text. If you want to learn more about the Cookie College, you can look it up at thecookiecollege.com. You'll see the option for those 5 memberships. If you're confused or you don't know which one to choose, the Cookie College includes them all. And the great thing about the Cookie College, it includes everything that was ever made. So it also has the 2023 class kits, which Corey said if I could make the ability for people to buy the class kits, the 2023 class kits outright without a membership. So I'll have that up in the next week.
Yeah, because I feel like, this being our second year of the Cookie Class Kits, February, we're doing football. Which,
because
just
last
want
year
to
we
tell
did
you,
Valentine.
I don't know how I planned it, but both
I'm
teams
saying Corey
did.
predicted the Super Bowl.
I did.
So she has a football set. That's the class kits for February this year. Yeah. It's already there. You could sign up. You could get it. But its colors, which she risked, are the colors of the team.
And listen, that was designed last year.
So I'm saying we pivot from teaching these classes. And we start predicting Super Bowl winners.
And lottery numbers. Come to Corey, I will do my best.
Did I win the lotto yesterday?
I have no idea how to even check that.
We did this back when we first started the Sugar Cookie Market. I thought it was so funny. It was back when the jackpot was like $1 gajillion. And you take a picture of your little lotto ticket, and then you say, anybody who comments on this, if I win, we'll split it.
If you need some interaction.
Yeah, if you have a dead group.
If you need an interaction on your page, what you want to do is also blur out
the barcode. I think you can cash in on it. So I went to... I do not buy lotto tickets. If anything, it makes me a little sweaty.
Because you can only use cash now?
So I go to Wegmans. I was like, I know, Wegmans. The 7-Eleven's going to be like, come on.
Yeah.
Quick. I got in and out. But I'm like, Wegmans holds your hand.
Always.
She tells you it's going to be okay. She's like, can I buy lotto tickets? And she's like, oh, we only take cash. And I said, okay, so sorry for inconvenience.
Did you not have cash on you?
No, I had gone from the gym, so I don't have a little fob.
You knew that they only take cash.
And she says, do you see those
little vending machines?
Should those take card?
Is it debit only?
Yeah. You can't be running up credit. Yeah. Actually, I bought a credit card and I was like, gross. So I put it in there, and it's got 50 billion games. And I'm like, I just want the Mega Millions.
The one where it has the little numbers already.
I just want the one with the ball and then the thing. Yeah. So then I'm like, okay, I figure out when I've got the credit card and it wants my debit card. Just wants a room.
You idiot.
Yeah. And then I'm like, print. And then nothing happens. And I say to the guy next to me, I said, I'm so sorry.
Is he also shopping for a lotto card?
He's looks like he's about to launch a spaceship. He's clicking so fast. I said, I don't know where the little thing went. I said, it was supposed to, is that what the gambling is? He said, I was like, no, it's just printed off. It's shoved up in the crowd.
Oh,
I said, I'm an idiot. And I was like, thank you. And he's like, oh, you have better luck than me. So anyways, took a picture of it, blurred out the barcode, and posted it in Corey's local group. And I said, hey, listen, we're definitely going to go to work tomorrow. We're definitely, but if you comment how you'd spend $1 million and it wins, we'll split the 311 million
between all 34 comments.
The fact that you hear this podcast today tells you how
what would it do? Good. Heather said, what would you do if you won $1 million? So all the comments, most people were like, pay off my parents' house. I was like, your plastic surgery, man.
You won't be able to recognize my 13-year-old.
I said I wouldn't look 35 anymore.
Yeah, everyone had these real kind ones, and then I was like, yeah, I would.
Listen, I'm real. I'm real.
Everyone's like, I would give it to my grandmother. I'd pay off my neighbor's house. Neighbor's house? Can you see what neighbor's house? I ain't got no neighbors no more. Anyway, so that was a funny thing. I enjoyed reading the comments.
I did too.
Somebody was like, how can I not comment just in case? It takes 2 seconds to comment. That is cheap engagement. But for a group that was locality based.
Listen, it's just fun. It's just fun. Moving on to our sponsors.
So we have 3 sponsors. We're supposed to have 4. We actually supposed to have 5. I'm working with the other 2. And it's been our busy season is Octubre uno.
It's Septembre uno.
Really? Because what? Back to school? I think it starts mid-September.
You just said October.
I think because not September. I think people are trying to get their kids to school. They forgot they had kids.
Yeah,
they remember
but you have back to school.
Yes,
and back to school is so
when the kids run behind you, walks through the school door, then the baker engages for the holiday.
Their butts clenched. They're ready to roll out the dough.
When the kid is out the dough, so is the dough. But then it simmers down first week of Jan because everyone's like, okay, the lull.
Yes.
The J months are the lull.
Yes.
But I say January is not a lull. June and July is. But January feels like a lull compared to December. Mm-hmm. Then we have February. So we're rolling into February 14th.
Yeah.
Then we've got Easter's early this year. It's in March.
Are you saying this is our busy season or not busy season? Because it sounds busy.
Our marketing busy season is in Q4.
True.
Q3, Q4. This season feels weird to people. They spend all their profits, all their cookie glass money on great gifts for themselves. They got it, and then they'll slowly build it up, and then productivity just absolutely tanks in June. You guys disappear. You leave me and Corey talking to ourselves for 3 months.
But I will say, our first A core backers has been with us for a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
They are also growing.
Great.
So, not a sad moment. They'll be taking a pause on the podcast sponsorship.
2, congratulations, move to a bigger warehouse.
Which will impact their business a little bit. So I wanted to talk about that. She sent us the email. They have big changes. So right now they don't have as much boards on like in stock that can be ready to ship because they have a smaller warehouse. So what they're doing is actually moving to a bigger warehouse so they can have more product on hand so it can get to you faster.
The interesting thing she sent an email, which had a very doom and gloom subject,
but
it was actually like a happy thing. I was like, oh no,
oh yeah, great for them.
She was like, the warehouse they must use is so small that to even get to the products, it's a process.
Yeah.
So like, have you ever had a closet too small where you're like, to hang this, to get to that shirt, I'd have to take out 50 shirts.
Right.
So I'm just not going to get out that one shirt.
Especially because they have so many different backdrops.
And sizes.
Yeah.
So anyways, they're moving to a new warehouse, which is awesome. I think they're taking a 4-month pause from the podcast.
Fingers crossed it's 4 months. So it's something that they will know. So what they're actually going to do is be out of stock while they move. So that.
But fulfill orders, any standing orders.
Any standing orders absolutely are going to be. And then once their standing orders are complete, they will mark everything out of stock while they move. Okay. Growing pains.
It makes sense because you don't want to have things. I mean, it's a rough one from a website perspective.
Right.
In a perfect world, I'd say never do that. But what are your options when you won't have access to the product? You're going to have a bunch of irate clients.
When white matte finish, you don't know if it's at location A or location B.
So you risk that. Do I have a bunch of unhappy people leaving bad reviews or do I shut down completely?
Right. So they're going to take a pause from the pod. Pause from the pod. Yeah. P of the P. And
rise from the ashes stronger as a phoenix. You'd like this.
Rising from my back.
There's a phoenix tattoo that my mom thought was offensive.
I would tell my husband was like, we were watching this video and the person had like a ton of tattoos and it was like, oh yeah, you can't take anyone with tattoos seriously. And I said,
he said,
he said, I forgot. He said, I forgot because he was like, you always have it covered up. I forgot you have one.
Do you even like it?
I love it. But I also like wearing shirts.
We all have our vices.
So you won't hear them as a sponsor of the podcast next week until they reopen. And then we'll have a big old launch talk about, what they have, what's new, what's upcoming. So Acor, we wish you the very biggest and best on the new move.
But if you guys have any outstanding orders, you can direct that to Acor. We are not their business. So emailing me, we'll just get you an email with their email.
Next up, we have Bakety Bake is a business that produces what's called Royal Batch.
We could use some more Bakety Bake in a bigger warehouse. That's what I heard.
Royal Batch is the bee's knees. It's a meringue powder. You check while I talk. Royal Batch is a meringue powder. It's the one I use for my orders. It's silky smooth. It's bright
you use it for the
white.
Orders of the people you like.
Yes.
Corey doesn't use it for her class kids. She says, I don't want to waste it.
I don't want to waste it. Really, really, honestly, love it. I've been using it for...
5 pounds is in stock.
Oh, it's in stock?
Yeah.
And the one pound? And the 1 pound?
Mm-hmm. Both of them.
Both?
Yeah. There's let me just add it to cart to check. You can buy with Shop Pay.
Yeah, I buy with Shop Pay all the time with them.
What is the benefit there?
I get Shop Pay points and then I can use.
Because you're going to have to do Shop Pay for some of these Shopify sites, which I love Shopify sites. Yeah. And then at Shop Pay, it was like, hey, listen, you got money. So I was like, well, I don't want my money to expire. So it was like, go to our Shop Pay store. So I was like, okay. So I buy some stuff and it was like, you only have $14 off of your $30 order.
Yeah, because they're not going to give you a bazillion dollars.
I wanted 3 things. I wanted not 3 things. I wanted free things.
So, that's so good to hear. We should make a post about that and let everybody know. We sold Royal Batch out back in the Vendy Blundy, and now they've come back with the 5 pound bag.
You were like, don't mention that word. It'll be the only thing I ever see.
I know. So I'm really excited about that. It already has 3 main ingredients that a lot of people have to actually add it to their royal icing. It already has it in it, which is vanilla flavoring. So it tastes amazing right out of the bag. Don't eat the powder. mix it, and then taste it.
Have you ever tried it?
I've never tried it.
Try it.
It's so fine. When you use it, it's so fine. It gets in the air, so I feel like I've inhaled it as a drug, and I'm addicted. It has white food coloring, so it whips up bright white, and corn syrup, which is something you would add if you wanted a softer bite. So it gives everything a softer bite. It's delicious.
Is there anything it can't do?
Can I do my taxes? That would be great.
That's coming up.
I know. I don't want to talk about it. I want to talk about it.
Can I brag back on the college last night?
Sure.
So because the college group is so much more petite, anybody can go live. And they don't really have to schedule it. But Ashley went live. She's from Canada.
Did.
Okay, if you were like me and I wake at 3 a.m. on TikTok this weekend, there was a Charizard cake.
Yeah.
And it was wild. So the first thing that the cake did, and I was like, this is pretty cool.
It looks like a normal cake.
Yeah. So they light the tail of the baby Pokemon on fire with a candle, right? And then the wafer paper melts away. And then there's like the Charizard that's evolved. And then that wafer paper melts away. And then there's the final form of the Pokemon.
Yeah.
And so she taught a lot. She's like, oh, yeah, I can.
On how to make it. And she's like, it's on trend right now. You can charge a little bit more. It's, kitschy.
So it's wafer paper and it melts. But she walked us through how to do it. It was pretty neat.
Yeah, it was so neat. I can't believe she did that. It was very kind of her.
I watched the whole thing.
I know.
I was like, finally, somebody's talking about something.
But you can actually get Royal Batch at a discount using the code TWINS. TWINS. No Z at the end there. Because we're good like that.
I made a post in the college because people were asking me, like, I've heard the baking.
What are you making a post right now? Where?
In the college, because everyone was asking.
Make it in the main. Give everyone the same opportunity.
Oh, really? Copy, paste, save, cross post, new window. I have so many. I live and die by, and I taught a class on that.
You do.
How to use bookmarks effectively. I was going to post it in your Lakers
Give us you talk about Eduardo.
Eduardo, love him. If you were like, does wafer paper taste fine?
It tastes like spongy sugar.
Oh, that's delicious.
I would never crave it.
People eating them like chips.
I'd burn it. You would eat it. It would need icing underneath it to taste good. If you ate it by itself, it doesn't. It tastes like rice paper. Yeah.
What?
Like there's no taste to it.
I want the wafer paper industry to introduce this.
Was it wafer paper or fire paper they used? Someone said it's wafer. Fire paper.
I had to rewatch a lot. I did not remember fire. It was on
I saw a comment saying fire paper, but in my brain, thought it was wafer paper.
I think it was wafer paper on fire, but don't question it. But Eddie is a direct-to-food printer. Now, Corey, we're working on making her own website, and she wants to have this will be a nice website. It'll be the website that I will teach examples from, since I got to not look ago. But I want to introduce to our audience the technology behind cookies. A lot of times you think it's an oven and it's a mixer. But no, we have the 3D printers, and then we have direct-to-food printers, and that's a real big differentiator. And I want this webpage to be, one, comprehensive on what this is for the audience to understand how cool the product is. And this is corporate girly era 101. This will be the website page she sends to a client. Who called you back again?
Neiman
Marcus. We're going to go to lunch together. So Corey had somehow Neiman Marcus. I think they found you in a Facebook group. The lady that works for them. How did they find you?
It was a Google My Business.
Oh my goodness!
It was.
Oh my goodness! I love them. Copied on them.
Yep.
Add me to your LinkedIn company page.
No one's messaging on there.
I don't care. I like to have everything organized. Okay. I don't trust your password management. So Eddie was a direct-to-food printer, and Corey busted out all these. So Neiman Marcus, the shop at the mall that we can't afford, has these brands that they represent, and they have these special days for these brands. So I think it was a boot brand. Now it's a makeup brand, a watch brand.
Now it's a perfume
brand. So that stuff, those brands, those logos are so complex. They did not listen to today's podcast. They made them more complex than ever. And then they were like, hey, can you make a cookie in the shape of this? Yeah, but I'm going to print the details on it. I know you just did a remodeling company had a really complex logo. Eddie allows you to do very complex things very quickly. I will say, if you're used to stenciling and cursing at the same time, this would be the replacement of that. Mm-hmm. You replace cursing with dollar signs because they ain't cheap. It's $3,000, but you can get refurbed. You can buy used. I'm a refurb girly through and through. Like, if I see a camera, give me a refurb one.
Yeah.
Save me a couple bucks for somebody else to have just
right.
And then you can use code Nothing's on Sale for 0% off at checkout. But join their Facebook group, Eddie Printer Users Group on Facebook. It's pretty fascinating.
Could you make that perfume? Okay. This perfume, apparently.
No. The idea has taken root.
This perfume bottle is apparently they've never had it. This exclusive, expensive perfume. You can only find
actually
it.
Says $350.
Yeah, you can only find it in Marcus for the next 3 months. That's their partnership.
Oh, okay.
He needs the tiniest little logo.
Okay.
So if you made me a graphic on a cookie, the whole thing is purple except for the logo is white.
Yeah, we couldn't do a purple. Be a square because
yeah. So the perfume bottle.
Yeah, and just need your, which I'm sure you're going to make me print it.
Right.
How am I not getting a cut of this stuff? All you're doing is cutting dough and sticking it in.
I thought I was going to have to buy it.
What if we did? So I'm assuming the cap is a different color.
The cap is gold, so I just, to make it pop, would paint it gold.
Right, so let's print off the body of the bottle and the logo, and then you pipe on top of it.
Right, let me just show you
I gotta see it
what it looks like.
Anyways.
This is the bottle. You see how it's weird that
what if you piped the Creed part?
So Eddie prints purple, and then I pipe
prints
Creed.
Purple, and we'll make the bottom white, so an absence of color.
Yeah.
So he doesn't print white; he just doesn't print anything.
Okay.
Then I think I could still add the Creed logo, but you pipe over it to create that 3D effect at the bottom.
I would like that, and then I just paint that gold.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll cut you in. Cut you in.
We're back. So those are our podcast sponsors, and I'll work with the other 2 podcast sponsors. Get them onboarded. One is Podium, the place that we hosted.
Oh, nice.
And we're like, hey, we like it.
Nice.
I think it'd be great for people who want to teach virtual classes.
Yes. Or not even virtual. A lot of bakers do pre-recorded.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
You can have teach a class, and they have a little place where they can chit chat, and then they can buy the product. The Facebook group thing, ask me how I know that's hard to manage because you would have to maintain it.
Some bakers have used Patreon. Patreon, unfortunately, is like a subscription, so you have to add more value
and that
to
means
it.
You got a second job. Podia allows you to do memberships, which is what we use, but it's actually designed for single product purchases.
Does Podia have like where you can make a website on there too, like to sell it?
And they have just done some really fascinating stuff.
So that's almost like a one instead of using, you have Square for this. This is your checkout.
It doesn't do like I want to buy a set of cookies, so you can't make it into that.
Okay, so it would just be
digital products.
Yeah. So. Which I think is fantastic.
Right. So very neat little. Well, they didn't pay us to say that, but check it out. Gotta reply to their emails. That takes us to I have Facebook Live coming up. Andrea Forte, she's a bookkeeper accountant.
I know.
And she already taught a Facebook Live, but she is so funny. I said, I'm so sorry. She had applied to teach a live during like Bendy Blendy Brain. Where I just stopped thinking, my inbox doesn't exist. If you're not a vendor, I don't see it. And I was like, did I? Because it's going back to January 1, cleaning out my inbox. I said, did I forget that? It's just like, that. I was like, okay,
that is very kind that she was polite to you who deserved a few curse words.
Now too.
If you didn't know, there was a Canva Live that went down last week with Kim. It's fantastic.
We actually saw Kim and Heather Campbell Brooklyn.
We did.
At season 52.
In real life.
We had already met. So Kim and... Great story. And now I got the backstory of it. Kim and Heather were bakers in Houston, and they were in a baker collegiate.
It wasn't a baker. It was like a BNI, but for ladies.
Yeah. And then they had joined the college, the cookie college.
Kim did.
And Heather hadn't. And then they meet in person in Houston and realize, so Heather signs up, and now they're best buds, and they teach classes together.
Yes.
So they call themselves Other Heather, Other Corey. Turns out Heather is Corey and Kim is me.
And then they took a trip to see us. It was like we were like 2 sets of twins.
Yeah, and it was a blast. And they came to season 52, bless their soul. And I did tell them it was at 5, but it was actually at 6.
I want to tell Kim made these. It was like this tower.
I want to let you know I have not stopped eating them.
Listen, I got home and my husband's like, what's this? Is this for a customer? I was like, I'm the customer. She gave it to me. I walked downstairs the next day.
No, they're dangerous.
That they're so easily stacked, you can just grab one.
They're gone.
They are gone.
Ruth Ann was like, "Hey, I have a confession." I said, "You got them to cookies?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "I haven't not gotten them."
My husband was like, there was just enough salt content in there.
Salt, yeah. I thought
that you were like, I'm gonna have to eat another one. They were thick. The chocolate was chunky.
The chocolate was chunk.
Girl, I don't know what you did. I ate 4 of them yesterday.
Probably my secret ingredient after baking bake is cracked cookies. That's what they're doing. It's delicious. So that was pretty fun, and the food at Seasons was pretty good. Oh, I did order a steak, and they did give me a steak on it. It was probably healthier for me, and they're probably like, girl,
but the desserts were dessert.
They were dessert.
They were
if you've never been to Seasons 52, which is owned by Darden, which owns Olive Garden, so come on, it's not that cool.
Greatness throughout.
Yeah, they know what to do. I'm so surprised that Seasons 52 doesn't do bread.
I know.
Yeah, they're like, no, you'll wait until you okay? And you will not spoil this amazing food. But
should we go to Olive Garden today?
Yeah,
CPK.
I'm up for either.
Okay.
The hostage situation.
I do like salad.
It is great. The little desserts, they're little, I want to say shot glasses. You can actually keep, I mean, I used to teach classes for something else, and they were like, yeah, keep the desserts, like these glasses.
I know.
There was no reason to be keeping those, but I did.
Absolutely.
But it's just enough of the dessert to make you want 50 more of them.
But for some odd reason, the little square of it is so flavorful.
It's so good. It's a tiny square of a cake. And they have 9 different ones, and they stack them around, and you get a point, and they have a flashlight. Back through the old flashlight.
Yeah, I know.
It was delicious. What were we talking about? We're on a podcast? Podcast?
We met with Heather and Kim, and they are just as sweet in person as they are in their cookies. So,
yes, that was a blast. So that takes us to the end of the podcast.
Do you have a twinnie?
A twin?
Twinterest? I'm sorry for those who are just tuning in.
They're probably like, we turned this off 15 minutes ago. Do you have one?
Do I have a twinnie?
Okay, I want to say.
Oh,
I had a week. One, if people who don't want to be targeted in ads, who are you? Because you're not me.
I love being
targeted.
targeted.
Me what I want to say. Listen to my conversation, Zuckerberg, and repeat it back to me in the form of things I come by. People are like, I opted out of ad targeting. Yeah, you're still getting the ads.
Like, listen, I'm opting into them.
Yeah, I want you to know what I'm about to buy, and I want you to show
me the best deals.
Yeah, TikTok's like, we're going to shove it down your throat. Yeah. Anyway, so I got targeted an ad, Ruth Ann, and this is a genius of marketing. Hallmark, if you guys still have those Crown stores, I think they're franchises. Hallmark says to Ruth Ann, you can sign up for a Hallmark card club, and you just get a free card from their cheap card section every month. Like clockwork, the woman runs in there and gets
She loves
cards.
A card.
Yeah, so she's not spending, Ruth Ann only buys discounts, so she buy the discounted chocolates and this card. So it gets her butt in the store. But because she's looking through the cards on the shared Wi-Fi network, I get served Hallmark ads all the time. They targeted this ad. It's called Better Together toys. This stuffy holiday Valentine's Day. They're like obscure things that are better together. Like it was a soy sauce stuffed animal and a sushi stuffed animal.
A steak and a tato.
A steak and a tato, a grape and a cheese for charcuterie. So I got everybody one. Yes. I got everybody one that represented who they were to me. Korea's cookies and milk.
It was cute.
Summer, when she goes,
I feel like they should have made my cookie a chocolate chip though.
I know. They
all
went
like a wafer.
They went a wafer cookie. They went like an Oreo from discounted Oreo brand. Summer always goes to Seasons 52 and subs out the side for mac and cheese. So they had a cheese and a noodle.
Yeah.
Archer was trying to get into sushi, so he did soy sauce and
sushi roll.
Oh, I like to go to Seasons 52 and get spaghetti. It was a spaghetti.
You like to go to Olive Garden and get spaghetti.
Oh, so sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got Heather Brookshire the same one because they like to go to Olive Garden. So it was a spaghetti and a meatball. And the magnet brings them all together. What else did I get?
She loves the chip and sauce.
So it was a chip and salsa. It was adorable. And they had so many more. I went to Hallmark.
Yeah. I kind of like browsing through Hallmark.
Big ones. And they had miniature surprise ones. They were in the box and you had to open.
Were they squishy or were they hard?
I don't know. I think it was hard.
They do ornaments. They had ornaments.
Might have been an ornament. Yeah, I don't know. It was very cute. That was my twin.
That was adorable. I'm on an ear journey. Journey.
Have you seen on TikTok where they are getting piercings in there? How these people are sleeping, I don't know. But they're doing these like piercings everywhere. I know it's no longer, okay, you people clutched your pearls right there. You back off.
But like, it's not like I'm doing a gauge in there. It's
what are you doing?
Just like
are you doing an industrial bar?
No. Planning. My hair's always
planning?
Hair planning. I should be doing my taxes planning, but I'm not. My ears are always out because I always have my hair up because I'm baking.
Your ears are always out there, right?
So I want to give someone something pretty to look at.
So what is your plan? So Corey's not ear planning.
I don't know. I don't know.
What's the goal? I can see you got some little danglers. She's got a chain
right
that wraps
now,
her too.
What my ear looks like is not what I feel like. I feel like I just woke up.
Yeah.
My ear is a little bit fancier than I am.
So what happens when the ear out fancies the head? You're going to have to shower?
I will have to shower.
Do your hair?
Do my hair a little bit. But then my hair will be down covering my ear.
That's your Twitter. So what's your next thing? Aren't you going to ear piercing studio?
I know you have to. I might need you to drive me. It's in Indiana.
In my car or yours? Mine. You have to move. Okay, listen. This is why you're a brat. You're like, we're not taking my car to the beach trip that we do. But you take it to Pennsylvania. Where's that movie?
I wish I didn't.
But you did.
But because I have to pick up my child.
Yeah, and now you're going to take your other child, me, to the beach.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I was listening to a podcast on how the brain works, right? And it was saying that the brain actually loves the ear planning stage. When you get the piercings, your brain's going to be like,
yeah, right. Then I'll be like done.
It likes the thought of things. And once the execution happens, the brain's like, well, I got to look for something else, like the whole dopaminergic thing. So the guys on the podcast were saying that this wealthy man had planned this extravagant trip. It was the most expensive trip of his lifetime. And he gets there and his family's there. It's this amazing hotel. And he walks to the patio that overlooks this beautiful sunset and says, I can't wait till we come back next year. Like your brain is always looking for the next thing. So they said if you want to maximize.
So I just need to be in ear planning for a while.
Yeah. And so they were like, if you're planning a trip, plan it as far away as possible so you can think about it, because that's where the brain likes to sit. So I was like, well, who am I to tell these smarter than me people now? So I planned our beach trip 6 months away from now.
For July. Typically we go in June.
It's June. But July.
I think it's July.
No, I said we come back in June and puts us right into the July holiday week.
It's late in June.
Yeah,
usually we're very, very
early.
We're
going to need you to get the quick glass coach to me before then. So testing the theory that the planning stage of things is better than the execution.
I totally forgot that there is a college podcast after this that we have to film. So let's wrap this one up and dive in.